Welcome friends. Topic of today's video is embryological basis of ventricular septal defects. To understand the embryological basis of ventricular septal defects, first we have to understand the development of interventricular septum. So let us see in this first diagram of the developing heart tube from the lateral aspect. This is the common atrial chamber. This is the common ventricular chamber. This is the atrioventricular orifice or the atrioventricular canal. In the atrioventricular canal, we can see two endocardial cushions. This is the superior or posterior endocardial cushion. This one is the anterior or the inferior endocardial cushion. This anterior and posterior endocardial cushion are with respect to the initial vertical heart tube. So initially this part of the atrium was like this. So this part was anterior and this part was posterior. Therefore the endocardial cushion developing from this area will be known as anterior endocardial cushion, and developing from the posterior aspect would be the posterior endocardial cushions. These endocardial cushions are basically the proliferations of the mesenchyme of the developing heart tube that has been derived from the neural crest cells. Okay, so now we can see that the two endocardial cushions have fused together to separate the AV canal or atrioventricular canal into two openings, that is the right orifice and the left orifice. Now this common ventricular chamber can be divided into two parts depending upon the different parts of the heart tube. So if we draw a line here, this is the first part and this is the second part. The first part is lying just anterior to the atrioventricular canal, and the second part is lying above this first part. The first part is basically derived from the primitive ventricle and the proximal 1/3 part of the bulbous cordis. The second part is basically derived from the middle 1/3 part of bulbous cordis, also known as conus cordis, or just the conus part. The part of the developing heart tube just above the second part of the ventricular chamber is derived from the truncus arteriosus, which will later on form the ascending aorta and the pulmonary trunk. A spiral septum is formed in this truncus arteriosus region, which will divide this truncus arteriosus into two parts, an anterior and a posterior part. And these two parts will give rise to the ascending aorta and the pulmonary trunk. So this septum was the spiral septum. Which is basically spiral in shape. Now if we take an oblique section in this plane and view it from the anterior aspect, this figure will come into picture. So this anterior was the common ventricular chamber. These were the two AV canals which was separated by the fused AV cushions or the endocardial cushions, This green structure was the spiral septum dividing the truncus arteriosus into a pulmonary trunk and a ascending aorta. These are two semilunar valves. This truncus arteriosus is basically the distal one-third part of the bulbus cordis. Now, the formation of the interventricular septum. The interventricular septum develops from three components. The first component is the muscular interventricular septum. This muscular interventricular septum develops from the floor of this bulboventricular cavity or the ventricular chamber due to the dilation of the ventricular cavity. So let's draw it. If this is the ventricular chamber, okay, this is the floor of this ventricular chamber. There is dilatation of this lateral wall of this ventricular chamber. With more dilatation of this ventricular chamber, the medial wall of these two parts of the ventricular chamber, that is this part and this part, comes in the midline and fuses. Therefore, when more enlargement will occur, this picture will come into effect. And this midline structure that you can see, which is coming in this floor of the ventricular chamber, is known as muscular interventricular septum. That will divide this common ventricular chamber into a right half and a left half. So if you place this interventricular septum in this diagram, it will arise from the floor of this ventricular chamber like this and will grow upwards. And this muscular part of interventricular septum will fuse cranially with this endocardial cushion. This fused endocardial cushion was also known as septum intermedium. For that, please refer to my previous video on embryological basis of atrial septal defect. So, here we can see that this muscular interventricular septum is partially dividing the ventricular cavity into two parts. On the external surface of the heart, this muscular interventricular septum corresponds to the bulboventricular sulcus. Now the second component. Two ridges are formed in this conus part of the bulbus cordis, which are known as bulbar ridges. Bulbar ridges. This is the left bulbar ridge and this is the right bulbar ridge. These two bulbar ridges will grow towards each other and will get fused to divide this conus region into two chambers. So these bulbar ridges will completely fuse with each other. This fused bulbar ridge is known as bulbar septum or conal septum. This bulbar septum will cranially fuse with the spiral septum. This bulbar septum will also grow downwards towards this muscular interventricular septum, but will not be able to reach this interventricular septum. And there will be a gap between the bulbar septum and the muscular interventricular septum. This crescent-shaped gap is known as interventricular foramen. Now, if we place these two components in this picture, so from the floor of this ventricular cavity was coming the muscular part of the interventricular septum, and in the conus part of the bulbus cordis was developing the bulbar septum. Okay, and this gap that you can see here, this gap was the interventricular foramen. Now the third component. This gap between the upper edge of the muscular interventricular septum and the lower free edge of this bulbar septum will be filled by the proliferation of this fused endocardial cushion or the septum intermedium. So these endocardial cushions or the septum intermedium will proliferate here and will continue to proliferate and fill this gap. So this will fill the gap. In this way, we can see here that the ventricular chamber is now completely divided into two chambers, the right ventricle and the left ventricle. Now we can put this proliferation of the endocardial cushions in this diagram also. This was the fused AV cushions which divided the AV canal into two openings. So these cells proliferated and filled the gap between the bulbar septum and the muscular interventricular septum to form the complete interventricular septum. Now a point to remember is that this proliferation of the endocardial cushion occurs from the right part of the endocardial cushion. So if we see in this diagram, this is the developing heart, this is the atrium, this was the septum secundum and the septum primum. This was the fused AV cushion or the septum intermedium. The septum secundum and septum primum was forming the interatrial septum. For further reference, you can see my previous video on the interatrial septum. This was the muscular part of the interventricular septum developing from the floor of the ventricular cavity. So, if this was the fused endocardial cushion, this was the right part and this was the left part of the endocardial cushion. This proliferation of the endocardial cushion developed from the right part of the endocardial cushion in this way, which filled this gap. After the development of the valve and straightening of this septum, we can see in the next diagram, this one was the left part of the endocardial cushion, this one was the right part of the endocardial cushion. Now from the right part, the proliferation of the endocardial cushion occurred, and this one was the muscular part of the interventricular septum. These are the walls of the AV canal, the mitral and the tricuspid valve. So now we can make out two things from these two diagrams. The first is that the development of the interatrial septum and the interventricular septum doesn't occur in the same plane. These are at two different planes. Second one is that this part of the interventricular septum, which is known as membranous part of interventricular septum, is formed by two parts of AV cushion. First one was the original part of fused AV cushion, which is now separating the right atrium from the left ventricle, this area. And the second part, that is the proliferated part of the AV cushion from the right side of the endocardial cushion, which is now dividing the right ventricle from the left ventricle. So these two parts of the AV cushion will form the membranous part of the interventricular septum. Now, correlating with the adult anatomy, the bulbar septum will divide the conus into two parts, the right and the left, that will form the corresponding outflow part of the right and the left ventricle, and the part which was divided by the proliferation of the endocardial cushion and the muscular part of interventricular septum, this area. That will form the rough part of the right ventricle, and this will form the rough part of the left ventricle. So, if we summarize it, the interventricular septum is formed by three components, that is, the muscular part of the interventricular septum will be formed by the muscular interventricular septum, which was formed by the dilatation of the ventricular cavity, and the membranous part of the interventricular septum will be formed by proliferation of the endocardial cushion. Also, division of the outflow part of both the ventricles, right and left ventricle, will be formed by the bulbar septum. Now we will discuss the ventricular septal defect based on the development of the interventricular septum. The ventricular septal defects are the most common type of congenital heart defects, and it occurs more frequently in the males as compared to the females. There are two types of ventricular septal defect. First is the membranous type, another is the muscular type. The membranous type of ventricular septal defect is the most common type of ventricular septal defect, and this occurs due to the failure or defect in the proliferation of this endocardial cushion to form the membranous part of the interventricular septum. So there will remain a gap in this interventricular foramen that will lead to the membranous type of the ventricular septal defect, as the proliferation of the endocardial cushion was forming the membranous part of the interventricular septum. Now the muscular type of the ventricular septal defect. This muscular type of ventricular septal defect can occur anywhere in this region of the muscular interventricular septum. It can be in the superior part, it can be also in the inferior part, it can be also in the middle part. Sometimes there could be many perforations in this muscular part of the interventricular septum. These small perforations in the muscular part of the interventricular septum will give an appearance of Swiss cheese. Therefore, this type of ventricular septal defect is known as Swiss cheese ventricular septal defect. There could be another type of ventricular septal defect in which there is complete absence of this interventricular septum, that is, the membranous part and the muscular part has not formed. That will lead to a common ventricular cavity, and this will result in a three-chambered heart that is also known as contralocular biatrium. So in this condition, there are two atrium which are draining into a common ventricle, and this common ventricle is opening in both the aorta and the pulmonary trunk. So this completes the embryological basis of ventricular septal defects. Thank you very much.